Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is August the Siv and I like to make videos on all things beauty, fashion and lifestyle. If that's something that you're interested in, please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. In today's video, I want to go back to basics. I have done a foundation routine before, but back then I was very young. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and since then I have gone twice to makeup school. I've got 2 diplomas. I think I know a little bit more now than I did back then. My routine back then was very minimalistic, very sheer. It's changed a little bit since then. I'm a bit more of a full coverage girl right now. I thought that this would be the perfect opportunity for me to show you how to do a foundation routine because I've got a few spots on my chin that I want to show you how to hide. So if you're looking for that perfect base, this is the video for you. Let's get started. I have already done a little bit of skincare. I really fixate on hydration. I don't really use active ingredients right now because I have a little bit of an eczema flare up and I don't want to irritate it. I've got an appointment with my dermatologist. Until then, I'm gonna just do some hydration. I might go through my skincare routine some other day if you are interested, but for now I'm just gonna show you my foundation routine and a little bit of skincare in that because it's just a part of my foundation routine. So I've done my skin routine and I've let that sank into my skin for a while now, but what's next? My next step is more hydration. I'm going to be focusing my hydration on underneath my eyes, and that way my foundation and my concealer won't sit in my fine lines. Starting with my simple soothing eye balm, and I'm gonna tap that underneath my eyes. I don't think this eye cream is that bad for beginners. I personally think that I should level up a little bit more. I do need something with an active ingredient now, but for a beginner, I think this is great. Then I'm going to use my Velleda Skin Food Cream and I'm gonna tap that into my skin as well. Once I've blended it all into my skin, I'm gonna leave it on for like 2 to 5 minutes, depends on how much time I have, just to make sure that the creams are hydrating my skin, just making sure that all of the fine lines and all the dullness is gonna be plumped up again before I start putting makeup on. So this method that I'm about to show you now is something that Wayne Goss used to demonstrate on his channel. I will link him down below. And the other day I also saw Alexandra, I can't remember her last name, but I will link her also down below. Try this out and it worked beautifully. I haven't used this method very often, but I'm gonna start using it more often now because it's so good. I've got my Urban Decay eye primer potion in the shade Eden. If you have the clear one, I would get that one instead for this, but right now I have to use Eden. I'm gonna put it on my finger and I'm going to tap it underneath my eye, just like I would a concealer. Don't worry about looking crazy. That's always how it works. I basically put way too much on my skin and now I'm trying to blend it out, but it's difficult. So you only need a tiny bit. On the rest of my face, I'm gonna be using YSL's Instant Moisture Glow. I could have put this underneath the eyeshadow primer, but I forgot. So it is what it is. So normally I would put this on before I put the eyeshadow primer on. Since I've already gone back to some hydration, I'm gonna use the YSL Lip Perfector because I keep forgetting that I have these things. Once that's all blended out, I'm going to use my foundation, which today is the YSL Touche Eclat All-in-One Glow Foundation. Put it onto a brush and then pat it onto my skin. And wherever I need the most coverage, I'm gonna place the product down there and then blend out. I'm going to be using 2 concealers today. The first one is going underneath my eyes and it's the YSL Touche Eclat Radiant Touch. So this is the method that I learned from Robert Welsh. I don't know if someone else started this, you know, probably did way back when. So I'm just going to blend out the concealer that I put in the corner of my eye, underneath my eye, and also going to blend out that little bit that I put on the outside corner. And I'm not going to use any fancy brushes, I'm just going to use my fingers. I'm starting to think that I didn't really need that concealer because the eye primer potion was in a color instead of the clear one. So at least I know that for next time. The next concealer I am going to use is the MAC Pro Longwear. This is in the shade NC30, which is way too dark for me, but that's what I want because I'm about to cover up all of these spots. It's also a yellow toned concealer, so it's gonna cancel out any redness, which we want for our spots. I've got a little bit in a flat brush and I'm going to pat that onto all the red areas. So the reason why we want to use a little bit darker concealer than our natural shade is because everything that's dark is going to be pushed back in. That's why we use a darker contour and a darker bronzer, because we want to push in that area and create a shadow. And that's kind of the thing that we're doing now. Because pimples and spots, they protrude out of the skin, they create a shadow around it wherever the light is hitting. And we want to create the illusion that the spot isn't there. So instead of highlighting it, we are contouring it. Once we've put all the product onto the red spot, we want to blend out the edges. We don't want to blend too much on the top of it because spots are usually a bit slippery. So we could take off more product than we wanted to. So you can either use a brush or you can use your finger and just go around. I also highly recommend that you layer on top of the pimple. Instead of piling on some concealer, just use light layers. Let it dry and then another layer if you need to. And then we're gonna powder later on, so it could get a bit cakey if you pile on too much too quickly. I've been really enjoying cream products lately, like cream bronzers, cream contour, and also cream blushes. So I'm gonna continue that, and I'm gonna use the Clarins Glow to Go Blush and Highlighter Duo in the shade 02 Golden Peach. I'm not joking when I tell you that I love this. Nothing left, but I'm still gonna try to dig out of it. A little bit of luck, I might be able to get some out, but there's barely anything left. Let's see if it works. There's a tiny bit of color, but that's the last bit. So with a cream bronzer, I would just tap that in where I want it to warm up my face, which would be these areas here, up through my temples, and sometimes over my nose. Usually I would use a lot more than this, but that's all I got from the stick. On the other side of the bronzer, we have this gorgeous peachy orange blush, and I'm going to be putting that on here. And I always use the same brush for my bronzer and my blush. And I'm really enjoying the 80s style placement, which is sometimes a bit too much for people, but I think it's the most flattering one for everyone. It's really high up and it goes over the brow. Look how cute that is. And when I'm working with cream products, I usually just pat them into my skin instead of dragging. I mean, it's very natural, so I'm gonna put a bit more. Now I'm gonna lightly powder, and I am going to use a very small brush for that. That way I know exactly where I am placing my powder. I'm gonna start by patting in all of the cream underneath my eyes, and then I'm gonna set that with my powder. I'm also going to be using the same brush to powder my pimples. So I'm going to be placing the powder exactly on the point where the pimple sticks out. And since I get really oily around my nose, I'm also going to be powdering there. I especially start shining like badly around my nose here. I just inhaled powder, oh my lord. Since I didn't get the coverage that I wanted with my favorite cream bronzer, I am going to be using a powder bronzer on top of that. I'm going to be using the Benefit Hoola bronzer. I'm going to be putting it on top of a wet base, using very, very light tapping motions and making sure that I am placing my brush at my hairline and then blending it down. I'm going to layer that bronzer in tiny amounts. If I need more, I can put more on, but I can't take it off. I've got a tiny bit in my brush and I'm going to be putting it next to my hairline and then tapping. Once I feel safe that most of the pigment is around my hairline, I'm going to drag it down by tapping. If we start swirling and pushing front and back, we're going to be ruining all of the base underneath. On the other side, I've got a tiny bit in my brush and I'm going to be putting most of the pigment at my ear and my hairline, tapping that in. And once I feel comfortable, I'm going to drag it down. I'm also going to use the same brush and bronzer to bronze underneath my chin and also my jawline. I'm also going to show you how I shade my nose, because I don't think I do it like most other people. I've got my bronzer on a little pencil brush and I'm going to focus on the ball of my nose because I feel like anything else is pretty fine to me. I just want this part to be a bit slimmer, if that makes sense. And then I'm gonna blend that out with a fluffy blending brush. I'm also going to lightly blend that up towards my brow. Then I'm going to use the Becca highlighter in Champagne Pop. So there's nothing new here. You just highlight wherever you want the light to hit. I'm gonna quickly fill in my brows with the Urban Decay Brow Blade in Dark Drapes. I feel like eyebrows always need their own video, but basically I just used the wax color first to fill in my brows, and then I used the brush tip to draw in single hairs. Once I've lightly filled in my brows, I'm going to draw in single hairs. Then I'm going to use my YSL Touche Éclat Radiant Touch Concealer to clean up my brows a little bit. Finally, I'm going to comb through my brows with clear brow gel. That is my current foundation routine. I thought it was time that I should show you my updated one, since the old one is very old, so old. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please tell me in the comments down below, like this video, and also subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. I will see you in my next video. Until then, you guys, bye!